everyone. Welcome to the last Global Intermediate Vocabulary video from Unit 10. We will look at the last topics from this vocabulary section from Unit 10. These topics will be books and reading, celebrations, words that have to do with death, and words that have to do with leaving. So let's begin looking at the vocabulary from this unit. Let's begin by looking at books and reading. First, let's look at this list of words, and then we will look at the meanings of each one and the differences between these words. First, novel, novel, biography, biography, atlas, atlas, guidebook, self-help book, instruction manual, magazine, journal, audiobook, ebook, bookshop, library, textbook, and notebook. You might know for a few of these. For example, what's the difference between an audiobook and an ebook? An audiobook is, both of these are electronic forms of books, but an audiobook, you normally listen to it. You normally listen to an audiobook. It could be an MP3 file, for example. And an ebook, on the other hand, could be maybe an electronic format in which you can read it like a normal book, but maybe in your tablet or in your phone or in some other electronic device. Now, what's the difference between a bookshop and a library? Both of these places have books, and you can look at different books, different topics, but in the bookshop, you normally buy the books. You choose a book and you buy it. In the library, you borrow it. They lend it to you, and you have to return it after some time. What about the differences between a textbook and a notebook? A notebook is a book, an empty book where you write. You write on it. And a textbook is already written. It has maybe the instructions. For example, your English textbook has all the topics that you need to learn. So it has the text that you need to read, that you need to learn. And the notebook is where you take notes. So yeah, it pretty much says the meaning in the word. A novel, it could be a literary work made by a writer that tells a story. That's a novel. It tells a story. It could be a fictional story. It could be, most of the time it's a fictional novel, fictional story, actually. And it could also be a non-fiction, but that's more rare. That's a novel. And a biography tells the life of someone, maybe someone famous. A biography it could be an autobiography. Someone writes their life down with their ideas, what they thought about, what they accomplished. Or someone else writes their biography. Maybe once they die, they write the biography of someone. An atlas is a book that has many maps, many pictures, and it talks about maybe geographical features from different places. It could be an atlas from a country. It could be a world atlas, maybe. It talks about the geographical features of the places, those places. A guidebook would be a book, maybe a magazine, that talks about Maybe touristic attractions. If you're going to a new place, you might want to know where to go, where to get maybe a hotel. You might want to know specific things about that place you're going. So the guidebook has specific topics about the place, maybe the culture, maybe the food, and that would be the guidebook. A self-help book, it's a book that is focused on or written to help people cope with personal issues. Could be maybe making friends, could be maybe getting rid of anger, something like that. It's different from an instruction manual in the sense that the self-help book talks about personal problems, personal issues, and the instruction manual tells you how to cope or how to work with other things that are not personal. Maybe it could talk to you about how to cook, how to work with a specific item, maybe a computer, maybe a device, something like that. It tells you the instructions. So yeah, the magazine. Most of the time, a magazine will be written periodically. It could be weekly, it could be daily, it could be monthly, and it has different topics. Each magazine will have specific topics, and maybe it's a general culture. Maybe it talks about I don't know, something else. Could talk about food. Could talk about something else. And a journal is similar to a biography, but a journal talks about a specific topic, a specific maybe project that a person does, or maybe just talks about their daily lives, and they write it day by day. So each day or each time they make something different, they would write it down, and that's a journal. So it's kind of like a diary. So those are the words that have to do with books and reading. Now let's go to the next topic. Now let's look at celebrations. Some words that have to do with celebrations. Let's look at some expressions. For example, when you celebrate something, you might throw a party. Throw a party means to just plan the party and invite people to it. That means to throw a party, to make a party, pretty much. When you celebrate something, you might also send a card. It could be a birthday card. It could be a specific celebration card. In some celebrations, you might give presents to people. In some places, it's a custom to drink a toast to someone, dedicated to someone, wishing them maybe something, good luck or a happy year. You might also give a speech. It could be a custom to give a speech, maybe in a wedding, maybe somewhere else for like a graduation ceremony. That's a celebration. So yeah, those are some things, some activities that you make or people make during their celebrations when they celebrate something. There are a couple of more vocabulary words, but they're pretty easy and we don't have time to look at all of them. So let's look at the next part of this unit. We just looked at celebrations. Now let's look at some more serious topics, which you might want to know some words about. This is death, or words that have to do with death. When somebody dies, you might need or you might attend their funeral. It's a ceremony where people remember the person that died and they think about their achievements, maybe just give a speech about them before the person is buried. To bury someone means to dig a hole that is called a grave on the ground and then put the coffin, which is a box where the body of the dead person goes, and it goes inside the ground, underground. So the hole would be the grave, and to bury them means to put them inside, underground. The green box in here in the diagram is the coffin, where the dead person, is kept away. Now, people before dying, some people tend to write a will. A will is their wishes about what they want living people, to do with their belongings once they die, once the person dies. So, for example, if one writes a will, they write down what they want other people to do with their belongings once this person dies. And lastly, in this sentence we have a couple of words. The widow or the widower still grieves for his or her loss. To grieve means to have a feeling of sadness. That feeling of sadness is called grief. It's a feeling usually after someone has died, because someone has died. The widow is normally the person whose husband who has died. The widower is the person whose wife has died. A widow is a female, and a widower is a male. The widow still grieves for her loss. The widower still grieves for his loss. So those are some words that have to do with death. Now let's look at the next part of this unit. Now let's look at some words or expressions that have to do with leaving. It could be leaving a place, leaving an organization, or leaving someone, yeah. So let's look at them. First, let's look at some words that have to do with work. To retire means to reach an age in which you can no longer work, or maybe it's not the age but your situation. So you retire, you leave your job because you can no longer work there. And in some places, most places, when a person retires, they get an insurance, a payment, or sometimes a present from the company or their job. Another word that has to do with work or leaving work is to quit. People quit when maybe they don't like their working conditions. So they leave their job, they leave their boss, and they leave their work to stop working there in that organization. When you don't quit, but the organization makes you to quit or tells you not to come back, that's called getting fired, or to get fired. To get fired or be fired is when you're told by the organization they no longer want you to work there. And when you quit, another expression would be to hand in your notice, hand in one's notice. That means to leave their job, to quit. So yeah, those are words that have to do with work. Now, what do you call it when you leave a school because you finished the course? It is said to graduate. You graduate when you finish studying in a certain school, and you leave. You have to leave. Now, let's look at some other words. The following expressions mean to leave a house, maybe your hometown. Leave people you know. To move away means to leave that place to go to another place, maybe because of work, maybe because of some other reason. To move away means to leave your hometown. To move out, it's normally used when people or when young people leave their house, leave their family, leave their parents to get a life of their own. Maybe start working, maybe they have graduated and want to start working somewhere else. Or maybe they leave for college, they move out. And to split up, and normally you talk about it when, or you say this when a couple, could be a married couple for example, they are no longer together. They maybe got a divorce, or maybe they just split up. They just went two separate ways. They left each other to go to different places. Split up. And the last one, the last expression that has to do with leaving is to pass away. To pass away. It literally means to die. When somebody dies, people say they have passed away. And, well, you could say they leave because they're no longer with their family, their friends, their known relatives. They have passed away. That's an expression. It's used. It's softer than this, to die. That could be quite a strong word. So people normally say somebody passes away. So yeah, those are the expressions that have to do with leaving, and that's pretty much the vocabulary for this unit. I hope it has helped you to better understand the vocabulary. If you have any more questions, don't forget to ask your teacher about them. And that's it. We'll see you on the next video. Well, see you around.